For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby Jones?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about
born from a family's grief and determination. In April of 2020, Army soldier Vanessa Guillen went missing while stationed at one of the largest military installations.
That little music in the background, it goes, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed it.
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
They dropped the ball, man. Like, they said he went AWOL, and that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Like I said, we're going back. We were asked last time to kind of talk about the food, the grub truck video, and kind of give our perspective of it. The press release from the police department, it indicated that they're still trying to put pieces together from that night. Does that worry you at any point or at any bit that they're still trying to put those pieces together?
It's been over 5 weeks since little Kaylee Anthony vanished. Her mother, Casey, has been arrested for lying to police. She's being held without bail.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one-stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Drunk Turkey Show, our mid-afternoon show. I'm your host, Daniel Jane. Alongside with me, as always, my buddies Big Blue and Jaime. Blue, Jaime, how you doing today?
I'm doing a little bit better. Yesterday I pulled like a nerve or something, some tendon in my back, so I've been hurting. But I'm hanging in there. How about you? I'm
doing good, man. You gotta watch out and stop practicing your genuine pony dances.
Oh,
it's bad for your back, bro. At our age,
I used to do it with these, but
I tell you, if you need pole dancing lessons, I'm here, man. I'm here. I got you.
Big Blue, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying my day.
Good deal, man. Good deal. I'm doing great. Today we got we have some special guests coming in here pretty soon. We're going to be talking about the Nicola Bulley case from the UK. This is the case that happened in January. I believe it was January 27th. Nicola Bulley went missing after dropping off her children at school and going for a walk while on a teleconference. Her phone was found later. A lot of speculation went into play. After a few weeks, her body was discovered down the river. And now there seems to be a lot of questions and speculations. We're going to be going over those. Today, our guest we bring on from It's a Crime and Shame. We have Sonny Justice and Aspen. How you guys doing tonight or this afternoon? Y'all are muted.
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Sorry, excited to be here again. Thanks. Sorry.
No problem. So we're going to be talking about the Nicola Bulley case. There's been, her body was found and discovered in the water. The speculation still runs rampant through this case. There's still a lot of conspiracies and some theories. I'm not too well versed in this case, so that's why we have It's a Crime and Shame to come on to educate us a little bit about this case. So first and foremost, what were your initial thoughts? And we'll start off with you, Sonny. When you heard, or your initial reaction when you found out that Nicola's body was found in the river?
When she was found?
Yeah, when she was found.
When she was found. Honestly, my first thought was, how did this search team and all these police not find her? And a psychic medium did. That was my I mean, obviously, I was sad. I was hoping that she just, so how some people can sometimes walk away from their life. I was hoping for the best case scenario that was plausible, and especially by what the family was saying, if you're watching, and and obviously we knew at this point too that they had brought in, which was so wrong to me, about the alcohol and stuff like that. But anyways, that was my initial thing. Was I was very sad as a mother, to know that it happened, and why is it that they couldn't find her and a psychic medium could? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. And how far was her body found from where she was last known to be at, which was the bench?
About a mile. Mm-hmm.
About a mile.
Yeah, it was a mile. Exactly, pretty much a mile. Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to pull up some pictures here. The water that she fell into. There's been a lot of pictures. There's been a lot of images that have gone out of the area, and it doesn't seem like it's a very deep water. It doesn't seem like it's fast current. Do you guys know? Is this a situation where at times it does have a pretty strong current and somebody could get swept under?
I was gonna say, Adam. I definitely can answer that, but I'll let Adam and then see what he says.
Okay.
The area that she went missing from did not have a strong current. The closer it got to the sea, it was more of a tidal river. I grew up in the country, and I would call this a creek, to be honest, like the area that she went missing from. But they call it a river, and there've been disputing factors as far as whether it was 2 feet, 4 feet of water. I mean, we've seen the footage of the searchers in the water. To me, it's not above their knees, so I'm going to go more along the lines of 2 to 3 feet of water. But the closer you do get to the Atlantic Ocean, it does get more tidal.
Right.
Now, I want to add to that quickly, because where that bench is in that middle section there, that's 18 feet deep. So although it might start off at 2 feet, it quickly drops to 18 feet. At first they were saying about 10 feet, but it actually goes to 18 feet. Now, Paul, the head searcher, had said, like, there's no way, he's saying, that they could, that, her body just would have, sunk, and that there's no way she could have made it to that weir, like, especially in a day. So it's a very, it's one of those cases that it's not this far out fetched one like the Vallow case, but there's definitely speculation because of this, because it is strange.
Yes.
So is that depth there of 18 feet, does that go, is that along the entire river in the middle or the center, or is it just in that area?
Just I mean, there's like, I remember that someone on their show, I can't remember who, they had someone that lives there kind of highlighted the areas that were, a little bit deeper and more shallow. So I mean, there's parts there when you're going towards the weir that really, by all means, right, she shouldn't have gone past the weir. But I mean, we all know that her body was found a mile down, and like way past the bridge that she had to walk over to get, way past there.
Right, and there is one obstruction that she would have had to have passed through, and I can't remember the terminology from it. Can you, Sunny?
Sorry,
that was almost the terminology for, like, there was almost like a little obstruction. It was almost like a little dam in the water. And I can't remember the terminology for it, but that to me is the area that I'm like, how did she get past that?
Right.
Right.
Blue, do you have any questions so far?
Yeah. Do you know what the radius of the search was from that bench? How far did the law enforcement look for?
Well, so now this is what doesn't make sense, because Paul, which is the head searcher, for the dive team, the one that came in to help privately. He had said that that they went past the weir, up a mile to the bridge, and I'm like, dude, what do you mean? Like, that was in the article, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because she was found a mile, which is way past the bridge, and that's the mile where she was found. So that's not even a mile from the weir to the bridge. So that's where, again, just more confusion, because the mile marker is where it said she was found, but yet the bridge would probably be less than half of that. So, so when he was asked, when Paul was asked if he checked that area, you know, like, he said, yeah, you know, like, we had, but she wasn't there. He refuses to take any sort of responsibility for, you know, not finding her. The head searcher of the search team for the dive team that came in that offered their help, and they were there for about 3 to 4 days. And he's the one that said, if she's in that river, we're gonna find her. And then it's like, but he did say, but you know, that's not including the reeds. You know, like, basically, if she's at the bottom, then, you know, like, somewhere along that river, they're gonna find her. So it's kind of like, but when he made that such a bold statement that if she's in there, I would have found her. Okay, then all of a sudden becomes, whoa, 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 whoa. I said everything but the reeds. And she was found in the reeds, obviously, you know, just around the bend there.
Was it Peter?
Peter, yes.
Well,
You're,
you know, I
Paul's
thought it was Peter too.
Isn't Paul the boyfriend?
Paul's the partner.
Right.
You know, I thought so too. So when I was reading this article, I was like, well, isn't his name Peter? Pretty sure his name's Peter. But this one article kept referring to him as Paul. So they obviously messed up. And I was like, sure, it was Peter. So yeah, so let's say Peter.
Yeah. And Peter Falding, is his name.
Yeah, Peter Falding.
So right here, you're saying that right here in front of this bench here it's about 18 feet.
In the middle, yeah.
In the middle. Does that go for a long ways, or is that just like this circular area right here?
See, I don't think that water is 18 feet deep there.
Well, I was gonna say it was 10 feet, and then they had said no, it was 18 feet. So I'm just going by what they put out there, because people kept saying it was about 10 feet, and then they said no, it was actually 18 feet there.
See, what I had read about the 10 feet part was that it was like a 10-foot drop into the water. And I was like, that doesn't look like 10 feet, but I never saw anything about the depth of the water itself.
Yeah.
Right. The embankment is much more steep than you really see in those pictures.
Right.
But but we've seen several like searchers in the water. I'm gonna stand by the fact there's no way if you walk down that embankment and you went into that water, I don't think that water is 18 feet deep anywhere in that area, even in the middle of the river.
I'm listening to the people from the UK that literally walk to that trail, that know that place, and those are the ones. But it wasn't just them. I've watched so many videos, you guys, but I can't think of her channel, but and she was saying it, you know, like in the middle there, it's like about 10 feet deep. And then recently it was said, no, it's actually 18 feet in the middle. And then they were talking about how when you look over, you know, you can see like maybe it's 2 and 3 feet deep, but it drastically drops. You know,
I just think further downstream.
Yeah,
you know, it's strange to see that river or creek that's that small being that deep. Like here in Texas, you rarely see that like that big. Besides the Rio Grande, you know, that which is like 3 or 4 times bigger than that creek itself.
Right.
I know it just looks like a slow moving little creek.
It looks like glass.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It looks like the creek that I have in my backyard, my neighborhood, and that one's not very deep. It's well, you know what? In the center at one part, when it gets really high during. If it snows a lot up north and then the rivers flow and all that other stuff, if it gets down here, my little creek ends up overflowing and it can get a little deep. But yeah, this thing's crazy. So there's been a lot of speculation about the phone Does anybody really know where that phone was found? Was that found on the bench? Was it found on the floor?
Again, another thing. The first time it was talked about, it said that it was under the tree. And then originally it said that it was found under the tree where all that signage is right there near the bench. And then it became the rest of the time that it was on the bench. And so I've always been, I'm still like, that's one of my major questions is, was that phone on the bench? Because to me, it makes a difference. If it was on the ground versus on the bench, it does make a difference. So no, everything that's been said has been on the bench. Besides at the start was when it was said that it was underneath that tree is where it was found. So I don't know if perhaps grumpy old lady there, Fletcher, like saw it on the thing and put it on the bench. There's definitely a lot of speculation around that phone.
Everything in this case is one of those things where you can say it could be this or it could be this. It seems like a very clear-cut case, and it has from the very first day. It seems like a clear-cut case, but I think what makes it so interesting and so hard to you get your mind around is that with every answer that you come to, there's two alternatives, and none of it, and we don't have the definitive answers to any of them, and that's why I think the case has taken on such a global attention.
Well, let's just go back to the beginning a little bit. The at the press conference, that Sally Riley lady, she literally basically said, we don't have any evidence, but we are saying that she is in the water, but we don't have anything to prove that yet. And that's literally what she said. So they started it off to me all wrong. By basically saying that they weren't looking at anything else. All they were looking at was the fact that they believed that she was in the river. But they didn't have anything to back that up. That's what the UK, like I said, Sally Riley said. So, when you're sitting there going to the public and you're saying you're finding a phone on the bench, you're finding a leash that's halfway between the bench to the water, but we're only looking at the fact that she went in the water, but we have nothing to show that. We just believe by these time counts, So it started off to me, that was a fault of their own, how they presented it. They were just basically well, we're not looking at this or this, we're looking at this.
Right.
Yeah. What's it called?
So Jaime, you got one?
Yeah, in the beginning, they also claimed it was accidental, right? Even from the beginning.
Well, that's how they deemed it as, in a sense. They were basically saying that she fell in, but they have nothing to show that she had fallen in, besides, really just any accounts that they were trying to figure out from basically 9:01 to 9:33, what happened. So obviously, behind the scenes, they have more information, of course, because they've been talking with some witnesses. But how they presented it is as basically it was just accidental, but we got nothing to give you guys to tell you that it wasn't something else. So
yeah. Are they still claiming that after they found the body?
They don't know. Well, they're simply waiting for the autopsy report now. They probably feel that way still, but the autopsy doesn't come out till towards the end of June.
Right.
Is when it will be done.
They basically just kind of maintained the line of that we believe she went into the water and that she's in the water. From day one, they've maintained that. They've never really given any specifications as to how they think she got in the water or why she got in the water or why she went into the water. They've just basically said, we believe she's in the water. She was found in the water, and they've maintained that.
And the family did not believe that she was in the water. She was found in the water 3 weeks later, but the family didn't believe that. So if they believed that she was in the water and that she died that way accidentally, why the heck would you ever bring up about the alcohol substance? Why would you bring that up? It had nothing. So if they're thinking that she accidentally went in there, why would you feel the need to bring that? They're saying that, look, we're trying to cut down all these conspiracy theories. No, they just simply made it worse. To me, that was so wrong of the Popo to do that. Bring up that, because that's when it even adds more to the speculation of, did
she take herself out?
Yeah, that she took herself out, exactly.
Right.
And so, and then again, and that's where people are thinking that she's abducted too, but there's more to the abduction part, and there is some, there's validation to why people are thinking these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what's that, Blue?
Somebody said on their port on the top when I was reaching for them.
Oh,
I saw on the chat that someone said, does it usually take that long for an autopsy to come out?
You can. Mm-hmm.
You can.
Right. In the UK, they're called postmortems.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be one of those cases where I think the findings of the postmortem or the autopsy is going to be the most important thing, because one is one of the easiest things that you can find out in an autopsy when it comes to a body found in the water is if there's water in the lungs. I mean, clearly that's going to tell you, and Daniel, you know this, whether whether the person was deceased before or after they went into the water.
Right.
So,
yeah, they'll be able to tell if they aspirated, into the lungs and stuff like that.
oh, thank you, Big Blue.
Yeah, he's our medical professional here. He'll be
I was
able
going
to
to say,
tell us
Big Blue's the medical guy there.
Yeah. So I put this into the chat. There's obviously her body was found, and unfortunately she passed. So in my opinion, you have three options here, right? It was either an accidental, there's foul play, or she did it to herself, right? Now, if we were to look at the foul play aspect of it, has there been any type of motive or reasoning as to why somebody would want to harm Nicola that's come out at this point?
Not publicly.
Well, basically, a lot of people's theories when it comes to the abducted or whatever part is that basically they have it based around Paul Ansel being her other half, and grumpy old lady Penny Fletcher there, and it's basically about the fact of, so Paul had some businesses, they failed. They had shares in the caravan park, which is where Grumpy Lady lives. And so when you compare what Paul's saying on his interview to the timeline, there's a lot of wrong times that he's saying, to be honest with you. And so, I know there's a lot of people, and sorry for anyone, just to let some people know this, Alexa is a friend of ours who's a profiler. She is not actually with It's a Crime and Shame in the sense, she comes on the channel whenever, and Lewis and that, because they're our good friends, and whenever we can. Alexa, she had to take a trip, and I'm pretty sure if anything, she's coming back today. So whenever we need Alexa, she's always around there for us. But it's me and Adam that are the It's a Crime and Shame channel. So just because I seen someone earlier ask about that. So I mean, if Alexa could have been here, but she has kids as well, and she was on a trip. But so anyways, so a lot of people were looking, of course, and at Paul's face and how he was talking. Me and Adam personally have never felt that he had anything to do with it whatsoever, that he was simply a grieving man, distraught, confused, even barring the fact that his times are off. You're in the midst of panicking, but the thing is, there's some things to be said and some pointers to be said about that, because at 9:30 he starts getting worried. Okay, normally she's home by normally she's home by 10:15. Yeah, by 10:15, 20 after. So he was up on his computer, he says, doing some stuff, expecting her
They
to
both work from home.
Yes, they both work. And so when 10:30 comes along, then he says he starts getting a little bit anxiety, kind of like, and then he tries to ring her. he tries to ring her on the phone. Now, keep in mind this. If people have already found the phone on the bench at this time, and he's tried calling it 3 times, and there's a dog tag with a phone number on it to call. They don't call that. They call the vet. They call other people. They call, so there's something to be said. So he's in this panic, right? At 9:30, starting to get into a panic. And he doesn't get the phone call till about 9:53, right around there from the school, So he says, well, typically on Fridays, I go to the gym. So you know what? I'm so worried, in a sense. I'm just looking at it from that point of view. That I'm so worried, but yet I'm going to go put on my gym outfit because I'm still expecting her to come in the door. But wait, that was at 9:30, but at 9:53, you're still home. And just as he's about to leave, he gets that phone call. So it's kind of like one of those things that if you start breaking down every little minute thing that's been said, right, it leaves it, well, if you were in such a panic, well, why did you were still home at 11 o'clock? Because you literally had to take a phone call still from the school to say, hey, something's very odd here. People, someone's calling to say that your wife's phone and Willow is off the leash. But again, if they have that phone, these people that found the phone at 9:33, hello, how come they're not answering that phone when somebody's calling 3 times back to back to back? And they're so worried, meaning that's weird.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
see someone's
she was on a call, right? She was on a work conference call.
She had logged into a Microsoft Teams call. She was a financial. What's the word?
Wouldn't it be possible that she put her phone
Mortgage.
on D&D, like do not disturb, so that way it doesn't vibrate or anything during that conference?
Could have been.
Yeah, because it will cut off, right? If somebody will call.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, if somebody calls, it could cut off the stream and a lot of those other things.
Yeah, 'cause I actually do Microsoft Teams meetings, and they go mute my meeting when somebody calls, and so it does interrupt it a little bit.
It's an option. We can't say. We just know that he called 3 times.
He called.
They would have, but why still? But though, why did they not? Okay, you're calling all these people, and yet the dog. These people know who Nicola is. And yet you guys didn't use the dog tag number to call the actual, Paul?
No, that makes sense.
Well, the number on the dog collar apparently was the vet's number.
Oh.
No, okay, that's not what I heard.
Which is why the vet got called.
That's not, okay. That's not what I heard. Why would they have maybe, but that's not what I heard.
The rabies tag?
We'll have to look into that one, I guess. Yeah, because that's...
So if some
sorry,
no, but all that is suspicious occurrences. Is there anything that somebody would gain by her not being alive anymore?
They're basically saying money. They're basically saying that with Paul, money, something about the caravan park, that they had shares in it. So if anything, it's been that. It's been based around the caravan people, that Ron guy that spoke on TV through interviews, because he was fumbling over what he was kind of saying. And so just meaning for the speculation, the theory people, in a sense, there's all these things, but it would revolve around money.
Right. Now they weren't married. I don't know if that here in America that doesn't make a difference. You can get an insurance on anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how the laws work in the UK. If he would be given money, based on that, like as if they were married and he had a plan through work or something. Now, you said that both of them worked from home?
Yes.
I'm not sure if they full-time worked from home, but the majority of time they both worked from home. I'm sure they might have both had offices, but they, like a lot of people, they both worked from home a lot.
Well, she was a mortgage. She was an insurance mortgage, whatever it's called.
Advisor.
And he was an engineer that worked out of the United States, meaning he worked from home, but United States was the firm he had worked with as an engineer. And so besides that, I mean, all you have to do is really plunk in his name for, Paul Ansel, and it will bring up his, his businesses that he kind of has, some that have failed. So again, I think that people have those three different ideas that there's something for each of it, I feel.
Yeah.
But the abduction one was definitely a thought in my head as the time was going on. I'm like, really? Like, because they haven't found her.
Right.
Was over 3 weeks. So that one did start entering my head more so as the case was going on. And a lot of people believe that she was thrown in there, like basically put in there because they couldn't find her. You have all these people finding her, and then all of a sudden, whoop, there she is, found by a psychic medium.
Right.
And
I thought it was two walkers that were walking by that found her.
Yeah,
One
that's
of them
in
had a psychic medium.
right. So the psychic medium, Big Blue, basically had said that he basically said that he was tired of the speculation of people and stuff like that. So he wanted to do his part, use his basically abilities to try to find Nicola,
Right.
I should say. No, I don't want to say the Nicola. But anyways, so the next thing you know, like maybe his thing was that they were going to go back down to the water because that's the vibrations or whatever he was getting, which is Jason Dean Rothwell. Yeah, it was the psychic medium that found her and his friend, this female. So it wasn't that it was a dog walker, actually. It was just the fact that they specifically set out to try to find her because whatever told him that she was in the water.
And I want to say Daria Moon, welcome as a new member. But also somebody put something interesting earlier, which is true. They said a YouTuber got arrested for poking around, which is true because over there they don't really, they frown upon what we do over there.
Which, can I say really quickly? I find ironic considering the UK is worldwide known for being notoriously rampant with aggressive paparazzi. And so, I mean, tell me the difference between a YouTuber and a paparazzi person.
Yeah. Can I answer this one too? Because I know exactly who this is. Okay, and I personally want to give him a shout out. So this is Curtis Media. Okay, that's exactly who was arrested yesterday. Now, I have talked to Curtis Media because I have used some of his clippings recently because he's a boots on the ground person, okay?
Yes.
Now, I literally put out a video because what I didn't appreciate was this, is that he was recording, him and his friend were recording. They walked on, and this is the first time, and I didn't realize this, but this was the first time that anyone had ever really spoken to Penny. So they walked in, and they were allowed to. It wasn't like it was no trespassing. They walked into the caravan site. They talked to this old gentleman. This old gentleman doesn't really like Penny too much, and he's trying to sell his caravan. So during that time, I call her Bullhorn Penny. Penny comes out there and says like, "What you doing?" Like on the property, and he's just like, "Oh, well, we were just, doing, we were just coming to see how big the area was and da-da-da-da-da." So then so she basically scoots him off. And I still want to know, Penny, do you like dogs? Because she's the grumpy old lady that they speak about, eh? So anyway, so she calls the police. The grandson, he's just kicking up a storm with swear words there. And so I was making fun of that, like Hangman, because it was, he was just, just swearing up a storm. Anyways, so the police guy comes out and, starts talking to Curtis and his friend. And basically, it's kind of like, and you might know this, Daniel, but it's almost like here, like you're allowed to be doing this and da-da-da, but, you just need to be respectful. Now, there was nothing that he was doing that was disrespectful. There was nothing. Mm-hmm. And then he went from that to basically almost to the threat of, well, even though, so see what you're causing here? You're causing this young man, which is her grandson, to start swearing. And so if you're doing that to people, then I can have you arrested if I wanted to, or get an injunction to have you not to come. So, and he's like, the police officer was over talking him. Curtis fully, you could tell in the video, Curtis fully understood what he was saying. And he was agreeing with him. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset her, da-da-da-da-da. But it went from, you're allowed to do this to, if I really wanted to, I could arrest you. So guess what happens? Guess what happens yesterday on Wednesday? They arrest him. They arrest him for being in the police cordon, right? Which is so wrong. So they basically bullied him that day to me because, again, you know what? I'm not in charge of Chinese actions or Big Blues or whatever. If people have an issue with it, they could walk away. So if somebody wants to become abusively with their mouth and whatever, that's a them problem. If he's doing everything legal and he's not, right, they're the ones causing the whatever, the noise. It wasn't him. He was just walking around with his camera with the other guy, and people aren't liking it, the YouTubers, because the media can easily twist, which they totally did, around. And so what happened was because of that, it just astounds me, to be honest.
Well, the headline on it is that he filmed them taking the body out of the water. Is that true?
Okay, so he had been there filming it. Now, so I went back and I watched his video that he was showing. And what he was saying was this. He was simply on the other side of the creek, which he was. The same side of the creek that the mediums would have been on, in a sense. So a news crew was there as well, totally filming it a lot closer. And the video that he put out was, so he was from the other side and he was filming it. It wasn't like as bad as what people think, but the media twisted it into like he was showing this, grotesque, disgusting, despicable thing of pulling out Nicola from the thing. Yet there was a news crew that was zooming in a lot closer. So they basically arrested him for
doing the same thing. But is that now, like you guys mentioned it before that they're a little bit different out there as far as the laws go for what you can record and what you can do.
Are.
Is this illegal there? Is it illegal to videotape a body being pulled out of the water?
No. What I personally noticed with the UK versus here in Great North America is that, for instance, and I know, so he was bonded out of jail or had a bail with consequences, with circumstances. I know what those are, and I think it's ridiculous. I'm not going to say it because he's going to be putting out a video to explain what happened and what he got. But so what I can say is this, is that they're saying, hey, you're allowed to do this, but to watch them sit there and dictate now that, hey, you can't be doing this. They literally didn't seal off that scene. They didn't deem it as a crime scene. They let people come in. People were coming in, recording. They didn't deem off anything. Now, Curtis is one of the last people standing, and then Michelle After Dark takes her dog for walks over there all the time and records as well. So the repercussions that they're feeling over there are quite different, because they would never get away with that stuff over here, like to try to stop us from doing certain things or film, you know what I mean? So they seem to have a lot more no tolerance for that. And I personally think it's unfair. They're not breaking the law. It's their freedom of right to record. They're on the public property. That thing wasn't whatever, even to walk on the caravan property wasn't, it was public. Even the police officer said, like, yeah, no issues, just, be mindful to the community. But anyway, so it's really, I'm personally not a fan. I mean, if you have rights, you don't be hypocrites. Because if you have rights and then all of a sudden you're pushing your weight around, and then they purposely arrested him for him going into that area, even though the police officer allowed him. Because I watched that video as well. But anyways, so it was kind of like,
Jaime, unfortunately, he has to go back to work, so he's gonna be leaving us. Do you have any final words before you head out, Jaime?
Yeah, man. I know you brought up that it could have been three things. It could have been foul play, accidental, or her unaliving, right?
Right. Herself, yeah.
When it comes, I'm leaning towards foul play just for the fact that accidental, like Sonny said, there's no evidence to show that it was an accident, and when it comes down to unaliving, I mean, she already had made plans the rest of the day.
That's true.
So it looks like it's pointing towards, for me personally, it's pointing towards more of foul play. If it's foul play, it's probably going to be opportunity crime. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I'm pointing at. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go. Unfortunately, y'all have a good one. I'll be listening in. I'll be on the live chat.
Thank you.
Hey, man. Take care, man.
Later, man.
Thanks for jumping in, hon.
Have a good lunch, man.
So with Curtis, Sonny, you were saying that he got arrested. Laws are different in different places, and so I personally don't know the way it is out there, and so I don't know. But if by them arresting him, does that kind of also make you think that perhaps they're trying to preserve something in case of a trial?
I wasn't thinking about it that way myself. I just think that they were, I think that they're being bullies, to be honest with you. I think that they were sloppy at this case. They're the ones that caused all this ruckus by their actions. It's kind of like Delphi, they didn't deem it as a crime scene. They literally just kept saying, we don't have any evidence, but hey, we believe that she fell in there. They let people come in and out, and then they started getting mad, and then they started twisting things in the media, which they always do. They started twisting on how things were going. They arrested a YouTuber prior to that named Dan Duffy. They arrested him for filming in the area. So it's one of those things that's almost what it feels like to me is almost like whenever they want the law to work for them, the police, they'll make it work for them. Here's your rights. You're allowed to be doing this. But I just felt like he was definitely, regardless if people feel like he was wrong or right and doing, and going and recording and whatever. Again, there was news stations doing it too. And honestly, the place where he works been vandalized. He's been, there's a lot that's happened to him because of the news. And again, whether you agree if he's right or wrong, they still twisted the story. And even to this day, when you look up, it's like, he's at it again, and it's like, in all fairness, it caused him a lot of grief to his life because of, keep putting it out there to the media. I'm a firm believer in boots on the ground. And if you're doing things, correctly and you're following the law, I don't have an issue with that because I really do like boots on the ground. No one would have had this advantage of even listening to Penny if it wasn't for him. But anyways, I just think that it was more of a bully thing, and that because of what happened that day on the caravan site there with Penny and, him threatening to kind of arrest, that they literally basically, went into go, you know what, let's give him these charges, even though they didn't do it before, but they pulled him up yesterday.
Right. And they do have freedom of the press and freedom of speech in the UK.
Gotcha. Well, they say that about here too.
Yeah, true. That's a fair point, Daniel.
So Daniel say? Oh, go ahead.
I said they say that about here too. Here in America.
Yeah. But in a way, and then you say the wrong thing, and then you get sued. So it's like one of those things where we don't have that freedom.
Yeah, or they cancel you or drop you from shows, things of that nature. I've seen too many times people say the wrong thing or question the wrong agenda, so to speak, and you don't see them no more. On not in real life. I'm talking about like online or whatnot. Question: this is the area, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
if I know that they had came in and they had spoken about a couple of CCTVs, surveillance cameras that they had in the area, and that they believe that they basically had majority of it covered, and that they didn't believe that anybody else went in there. Is that still true? That they had basically accounted for everybody that was in the area because of the surveillance, and that they don't believe that somebody entered in there and did something. I read that a while ago before they found her. I don't know if that's still accurate. That
Actually, Adam, do you want to? I can answer it too, but Adam, do you want to answer that one?
As far as the CCTV footage that we have, or CCTV footage that we have, yes, that's still true. Which, like Jaime before he left was talking about the aspect of the three things that you put in your poll, as far as unaliving yourself, foul play, or accidental.
Right.
And the only thing that, because I've always kind of been more on the foul play aspect of this, along with Jaime. But the thing that's kind of like the one caveat that I can't get around with that is, well, how does someone get into that park that we don't see?
Right.
There is one specific way that someone could have. There's one blind area, but it's still, how would have someone have known that was a blind area? I mean, you have to put a lot more balls in the air if you want to go down that road.
Right.
But as far as we know, sorry, it's a long explanation for that. But yeah, so I think the CCTV footage is the same as it has been all along, right, Sonny?
So
it just really sucks that the CCTV footage that they needed, the camera wasn't working.
Right.
Now, which camera was it that wasn't working, and what area was it?
If you pull that map up, map back up, in the upper field, there's two fields. They're kind of perpendicular in my opinion, or parallel in my opinion, but that's the upper field. And that little pathway in the top right corner, there's a camera there that was not functional.
Yeah. There's two cameras there.
Yeah. And on the right-hand side of it, the one on the right-hand side was not functional. But how would someone have known that?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they would have had to have entered and exited that same area,
right?
So not to be seen by any other cameras.
And unless they came from across the water, that's the only other option as far as someone entering that field without being seen on CCTV footage, is if they had crossed the river.
Yeah, because I know
that field across the river is, there's a large area that's not on CCTV footage if you're across the water.
Got you. Yeah, because I know that's one of the main reasons why they speculated that there wasn't anything nefarious or foul play involved, is because of the fact that they had pretty much enough surveillance to cover the entire thing. We have $5 super chat from Karen. She says, I live in the UK, about 20 miles from where this occurred. I'm happy to answer any questions as I follow this case intensely. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We appreciate your super chat. Yes, what's your question for her?
My question for her is that we keep hearing about this guy with this white fluffy dog at the upper field that spotted her. And I'm confused by that because if someone with a white fluffy dog was to visit that park every day, take his dog there and stuff like that, trust me, people would have taken snapshots of this dude, and had pictures, because you know what I mean? Because all the YouTubers and TikTokers and whatever would have went back. So I'm really confused. Is the guy that they're talking about in the upper field, was it really actually Ron with the dog? Because he's the one that kind of comes in at 9:15, does his lap, whatever, with his dog. Now that would have made perfect timing, because it's Penny and Ron that found the phone. So Penny, because even in the interview it says oh, so you mean Penny, you were with her or whatever? And he's like, yeah, he came in just a couple minutes later, in a sense. So Penny's the one that actually found the phone. And then Ron was basically almost right behind her there, and was with her. Now, something about an appointment. But anyways, I think her name was Karen. Karen, do we know who the person was? Is it Ron or is it not Ron? The person with the fluffy white dog that we don't know.
It's not Ron.
So we have another question. Perhaps maybe one of you guys know. What did the medium who found her state the cause was?
He didn't.
He did not.
No, he won't talk. He won't talk to people. He only came out to say something after the fact because people were twisting it as Ram. But he said that he's like basically he just called the police, talked to them, and of course the news was there, so they put him in there. But he's not a person to sit there and give out that information. He won't talk about it.
Karen answered. She said, no, not believed to be Ron, but nobody knows who he is, as his wife spoke on his behalf to the media.
Yeah. Right, which I've heard. So I'm confused. So, because let's get this straight. So, Ron is the brother-in-law to Grumpy Penny, okay, from the Caravan. Now, so Penny's sister is, of course, Ron's wife. Okay, so meaning that's like a whole little family right there. Now, apparently she had to go to an appointment, went home, called people, whatever. And then the daughter-in-law, something like that, like the daughter-in-law came down. It all gets very kerfluffled in that little section there because it gets, again, simple things get twisted and turned. But bottom line is Ron said that he was there when Penny, Penny had found the phone and then he saw the phone on the bench as well. So that means that obviously they were there. And then someone like Penny called her sister, which is his wife, and said about tying the dog up, like at least tying the dog up to the bench or whatever. So it's not racing around. I don't know.
Barbara says, I somehow remember the camera being taken care of by someone in the caravan park.
Correct.
So
the Adam, is it this son-in-law?
I'm sorry, I was sneezing. The Penny's son is the one who installed the cameras. I'm not sure about like the operating of them. I would assume because in the UK, a lot of private cameras are optioned to be used for CCTV footage. Sorry, I can't speak. I can't say that correctly. So a lot of times when you hear about the word CCTV footage, they are private cameras that are operated by citizens and not the government. But the government has the option to access the footage.
Gotcha.
You know that.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more like that in the U.S. Actually, with if anyone that has a Ring doorbell, if like there's an entire app that you can do the Ring doorbell community with. And access other people's footage from Ring doorbells.
Is there a connection between Penny and Nicola or Nicole?
Well, I mean, they had shares or whatever in part of the Caravan. So yes.
So wait a minute. So Ms. Bulley had shares in that Caravan?
And Paul. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And who gets those shares now?
Well, I'm trying to remember what it said, Daniel. Well, obviously it would go over to Paul. I'd have to bring up the thing, but I can't remember the exact wording. But it would go over to Paul, of course.
Right.
Is basically what it said.
Gotcha.
So meaning either or, right?
Right.
Somebody
I believe they were in Paul's name to begin with, to be honest.
In both. I think
they were in both. Okay.
Don't quote me on that. Outback. No, that's not the young lad. The young lad is the grandson. Penny's son is the one that draws up the contracts and stuff like that. Gotcha. That was the grandson. That was
no.
Yeah. Sweet tongue. Yeah.
So. Yeah, there's a lot there to unpack. It definitely does look like there's a lot of connections here. And one thing that stuck out to me, when I put in the poll where I put, one of the reasons that she could have ended up in the water was accidental, is they never found an entry point into the water where she would have fallen into. I would have assumed there would have been a disturbance on the ground if she slipped and fell into the water where she slipped or twisted or
Right.
rolled, something of that nature.
I know when
Agreed.
we go bank fishing, I slipped and fell. You see my marks all the way down the mud.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I'm like
You have pictures of that, Big Blue?
no, it's like a big seal mark all the way down into the water.
Yeah.
Considering that they didn't rope off the scene and stuff like that,
3 days.
obviously the police would have known if there was slip marks, and maybe that's why they believed. But I mean, just because they didn't even corner off that scene, anyone really could have looked themselves to be like, hey, is there slip marks
And
here?
they did.
And and another thing I want to say too, and something that again that Curtis Media had brought to the forefront the other day, actually on that same day as the caravan, he uploaded another video. So he was talking to this gentleman, and see, this is what I love. I do love boots on the ground, people that are willing to, go right there, give you the news, almost like you're right there with them. So anyways, he's talking to this gentleman, and the gentleman's like, it's a perception out there that the dog was going between the fence and the bench. But he said, no, that's not true. The dog was trying to get over this. The dog was trying to get over the stile there. Now, and then he turned around to say, like the older gentleman turned around to say, like, and then there was a bunch of guys in their orange vests that were all, like coming through. So meaning he obviously was there that day. The way that guy speaks is that he was there that day, because obviously if he's talking about the guys in the gray vests that are searching and whatever. So that's how I took it, that he was obviously there that day to say, hey, no, it's wrong. It's not from the gate. It's to the stile, which you see right there, obviously, to the left of the tree, not the gate.
It's directly behind there.
So, I mean, it's definitely a very curious case. I mean, horrific outcome to this, and it saddens me. Of course, anyone that's a parent, regardless, it just hurts you to the core, because there's so many things you're like, well, why would she leave her dog off the leash? Like, even if she was to unalive herself, or whether she fell, like, if she fell in, that would make the most sense that she, left the dog off the lead. But, this dog was spoken about like it was their third child, and you know how pets are, how much we love them. So why would you, so that's where the abduction more comes in, or the, versus, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I mean, I'm sure people will be tuning into this. I saw in the live chat, it looks like there's going to be an autopsy hearing in June. That's a long ways away. That's a long way.
Isn't that the same day as the Koberger hearing?
Yeah, June 26th.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy, too.
Well, one's going to get pushed off.
But, here's one
we'll
thing
we'll knock the Koberger one out in the morning, and then we'll get the Bulley one the Bulley one in the morning, and then the Koberger one in the afternoon.
Probably it'll be
the time
times. Yeah. Real quick, y'all. Not to transition too hard, but we do have a little bit of breaking news on something. So I'm going to pull this up, something that we've been covering, and then we're going to talk about it. But in order to do so, just for the clip part out later, I'm going to do this.
It's the Drunk Turkey Show.
So we got some breaking news. Back to the Drunk Turkey Show. We're actually going live.
Cutting out.
Sunny. Am I cutting out?
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say?
Oh man, hold on. Let me redo this. Let me pull myself out and then do this again.
Oh, husband's on.
Okay. Now that he's gone. Okay.
So I wanted to bring up a story that just happened the other day here in the Texas coast about the drowning victims.
That's horrible.
There's the two brothers. Did y'all hear that story? The two twin brothers that were like 12 years old. They were in Galveston and they were swimming in the shoreline, but they weren't good swimmers. And there weren't anybody there watching them in the water that were good swimmers. and both the twin brothers drowned.
No, I didn't hear this.
Yeah, poor. And they just found the second body today. Yeah.
In Galveston, Indiana, or Galveston,
No,
where?
Galveston, Texas. The beach.
Okay. Oh, that's so sad. I mean, I'm a twin, if you didn't know. That's horrible.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh my goodness, that's so sad. You're still having things, Daniel?
Yeah, I can't hear you. There it goes.
What?
Right there. You can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jeez, I have no idea. I might have to get something new here. Well, we got some breaking news. Y'all sorry about that.
Sure.
This is something that we've been covering. It's coming out of Texas and Mexico. It's the have you guys heard about the Mexican cartel that kidnapped
Absolutely.
The Americans? Well, apparently it was, and has been speculated that it was a mistaken identity. Apparently, so it was. Mexican cartel apologized for the kidnapping and turned over 5 men. It claims that we're responsible with an apology note to America, basically. We'll read this. This comes from USA Today. A Mexican drug cartel claiming its members were behind the brazen kidnapping of 4 Americans last week, handed over 5 of its members, and left a note of apology. Mexican media outlets, the Associated Press, reported Thursday. Photos circulating on the social media show 5 men on the pavement with their hands tied, 4 of them shirtless in front of a pickup truck, which has a handwritten letter of apology on the windshield. The AP reported obtaining a copy of the letter from the law enforcement source in Blue. What word is that? Can you see it?
I can see it. Tamaulipas.
Tamaulipas, the Mexican state where the American travelers were attacked. 2 of them lives were taken. Another was wounded in the shooting Friday shortly after arriving in the border city of Matamoros for the cosmetic surgery. So, this isn't something that's uncommon when cartels do something. They've been known to do things like this. I'll give a brief story without giving any names, just because I don't want any problems with anybody from the cartels. But I knew a situation at one time where this cartel member assaulted somebody else and attempted to kidnap this person and shone light on what they were doing. Apparently they were running drugs for the most part. It was a very low level cartel member. Wasn't anybody up top, just a drug runner. And he let it get to his head that he was part of the cartel, and he ended up getting arrested for this. And when he ended up getting bonded out, the cartel took care of him, and I'll leave it at that as far as that goes.
I'm surprised they didn't leave the 5 bodies in the back of the truck.
I'm
They left
surprised
them alive.
Yeah,
That's not the way they normally do things.
exactly. That's
That was,
100% true.
They normally
Yeah,
don't
they
want
keep
them to
thinking
talk,
they
so
don't
they leave the bodies behind, not the
Right.
voices.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, I'd heard originally, I believe, wasn't the mistaken identity that they believed they may have been Haitian drug dealers?
Haitian human traffickers.
Human traffickers, okay.
Right.
So when I saw the picture of the vehicle, the van that they were driving in, my first instinct was that the deceased, the 2 that were deceased, probably were deceased right then and there, and then loaded onto the back of that truck, probably already deceased. But I guess we'll find out.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Sad.
we
Just sad.
in the U.S. get a bunch of clips of the videos that what really happened, but in Mexico you get the actual videos, and it's pretty gruesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the street
Yeah.
corners and stuff like that. I mean, you just see people going down in the middle of streets, in the middle of restaurants. Just
Hey, Blue, maybe you remember this. Wasn't there a mayor of one city that they kept having to redo the election because the mayor kept getting taken out? The new mayor.
yeah, it was a mayor. Yeah, and it was a new mayor, and the one that ended up lasting like the most. It was like a 15-year-old girl. I think she ended up being there for like maybe 8 months before they killed her, because nobody else wanted to be the mayor.
Yeah. And then they make an example Like it's not just usually like Blue says, there's usually more to it. I had heard a story that I know to be very true, of a guy who was involved. Now, I'm not sure if he was involved in cartels or which cartel or any of those things, but he was involved in drugs and things like that. And he had a lot of tattoos all over his body. And a lot of his tattoos were identifying marks like his birthday, his address, like things of that nature. And one day they found him with only from the shoulders down is where they found him. And so they used those tattoos to identify who he was. And they found the rest of him on his mom's car.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
that's the first time I've not regretted my tramp stamp.
yeah, there's an identifier right there. Nah, man, that's those were some of the things that I had seen and heard. And living in Texas near the border, there's a lot of stories that come across. And then like Blue says, when you get the Mexican newspapers, there's no holding back, like whatsoever. And it's not even just like incidences that deal with the cartels. It can be anything. There was a situation one time. There was some it was some Air Force guys that went off from base, went over to Mexico to go party, and drinking and drive, and rolled over. And the pictures that they showed were very graphic on the thing. Jaime comes in saying the only turned them over because they're fall guys. Cartel owns the prisons. Plus, they probably don't want the attention from our government. 100%. It's usually why they take care of it. They don't want the attention. So when somebody gets the attention from whether it's police or law enforcement or government, they'll take care of them and they'll hand them over. Crazy situation. Right. 106 mark. All righty.
I got a few more minutes, and then I got to go get my daughter from school.
Yeah. We're gonna be probably toning it down here in a minute.
Blue, how old's your little girl?
7. She just turned 7 last week.
Awesome.
Guys, if you guys are not, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, can I just quickly give a shout out to Mark, who's in your, he's a member of yours there. I just want to give him a shout out because he bought something from the my Amazon wish list for my 2 cats, which was catnip sticks. And I just wanted to give him a shout out on here because I did give him a shout out already. But I just wanted to say to Mark, while we're on here, thank you so much, Mark, for that. I do have a little video that I'll play on our channel on the next live that we do, but I just want to give a shout out for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Mark sent me a little notebook, so thank you very much, Mark.
Awesome.
I know.
Go ahead,
I know the other night you guys were on super late. It was probably almost like midnight. But I probably bought it with my real name.
You bought us
But
2
I bought y'all
coffees.
some drinks. Yeah.
You did. Thank you.
You know what? Oh, I feel so bad for not, because I was just looking at that again today because in my email. But yes, you guys, Big Blue came into our chat the other day, and at first I was like, pretty sure that's Big Blue from the Drunk Turkey Show, and then but anyway, so Big Blue had bought us 2 coffees. So thank you very much for that, Big Blue.
I didn't know how that works. I was like, man, I'm at work on my lunch break trying to do it real quick. I'm like, hopefully this works. And I had to get back to work. I didn't get no confirmation or anything. So I was like,
so I'm confirming that. Thank you so much for the 2 coffees.
Well, Sonny, you said that night. You were like, I think that was Big Blue.
Yeah. But I didn't realize till after the show that I seen, because I don't get an alert. Like, unless I'm looking at my phone's always on vibrate, or else I probably would have heard an alert come in. Right, so I didn't notice it till after. So I did give you a shout out. Right, now that you bring it up, I'm sitting there giving Mark a shout out, and then
no. Yeah. Mark deserves a shout out.
Just for me, because it makes me feel bad.
Y'all are gonna have to do a show dedicated to Big Blue now. Just 3-minute clip, just all about your praises to me.
We can handle that. We can do that.
Just kidding.
We'll sip some coffee.
Heck yeah, get a nice. My favorite's French roast. I do like the Mexican coffees a lot more. So I do like Alta Tierra is a good Mexican coffee. I think they sell that on Amazon. It's a little pricey. It's like $17 to $20 a bag for the small bag, but it's really good.
I like an Irish coffee.
Irish, nice.
Yeah,
with like Jameson.
Yeah, say a little bit of Bailey's in there, and
nice. That's how you get the morning started. Guys, if you guys aren't following It's a Criming Shame, go check out their channel. They cover things like Idaho, the Nicola Bulley case, many other cases. You don't want to miss their channel. They do lives, they do shows. This is their channel. They're at 7.13 subscribers. Let's get them higher. Go subscribe to them. Also, guys, if you're not subscribed yet, we have our secondary channel that we just started. It's called Drunk Turkey Clips. It's just going to have clips of our live shows, 10 to maybe 5 to 12 minute clips, just to kind of get you through some of the highlights of the longer shows that we put out there. As you can see, we put out I think it was about a 12-minute clip on last night's show on Koberger. New information coming out that kind of leads to maybe perhaps there is a confidential informant. Don't miss it. Go check out the entire live or check out the clip here at Drunk Turkey Clips. Guys, thank you guys for coming on. Do y'all have any final words for everybody before we close out the show?
No, the only thing I'll ever say is in the true crime community, again, it's always nice for people when they're doing their part, whether they're sharing, caring, and helping others, bringing a voice to the voiceless. Again, so much respect to the Drunk Turkey Show for, having us on again. And that's really all I gotta say. And thanks for everyone that's watching this. And don't forget to give these guys a like and a share. It really does help out, again, the algorithm for sure. And so we're gonna thank you again for being on.
Thank y'all for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yes, for sure. Thank y'all. And what's that?
The only thing I will say is that you gave the 3 options, which I'd like to know the results of your poll. But the only thing I'll say is that my mind has always gone to foul play with this case, and I said earlier, like, kind of why, like, the only thing that makes me question the foul play thing is someone would have had to have known where the cameras were, that the camera that they could have been not seen on was not working, and that is a big what if. But then the unaliving part to me has never made sense with Nicola, because I'm like, why bring the dog?
Right.
And then the accidental aspect to me has always been just that the only thing I think could be, because we didn't see slip marks, we don't see anything like that, it would have had to have been a medical emergency. So we don't know if there was an aneurysm, we don't know if there could have been a heart issue, we don't know if there could have been a stroke, but I'll be really interested to see the post-mortem results if they're publicly released.
Like, my thing is, she would have fell back from there, the slope, and the first couple feet is shallow. You would have seen her body imprint.
I thought so too.
If she hit the water right there. Because trust me, I go swimming all the time, and I jumped into the wrong places. And when you hit the shallow spots, you hit the bottom, and you'll see the mud. You see the mud marks. Yeah, I'm a bad judgment on deepness and water, and just.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and so the poll came in at foul play at 76%, accidental at 17%, and she took her own at 6%. And so heavy majority right now at foul play that this was not an accident.
Yeah. It's still why the case is going on, especially strong in the UK. Mark just gave you $9.99 there.
Yeah, I just saw. Oh, man, me and Big Blue are fighting over it. Chilafria for Big Blue. Us 9. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mark.
We'll be back tomorrow night. First and foremost, tonight we're going to be on Opinionated Idiot's channel at 7:30. I want to say. Go check him out. We'll be live there talking Idaho. Tomorrow night we'll be back talking about not sure yet. We have an idea. We're not sure if we want to go down that road yet or not. I don't know. We'll ask you guys. What do you guys think? We're thinking about talking about January 6th. There's been a lot of footage that's been released, and as far as the insurrection on the Capitol, when the Biden became president. You're looking at me kind of funny, like you're not sure what I'm talking about. Sonny.
I don't.
Oh, all right. So
January 6th.
January 6th, there was the insurrection of the Capitol when President
The
Biden
rioters?
became president.
They raided
the Capitol.
Oh yes,
No.
yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of footage that's come out. Some indicating that there was a raid. Some saying or showing that it looked like it was more led into. Honestly, I've seen only bits and pieces of both sides. I want to look at both ends of it and have a real discussion about it. But we're not sure if we want to do that yet. We don't want to wake up on Saturday morning and our channel not be there either. So
it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing.
Forgive me, guys, because I am Canadian. So although I do pay attention more to your guys' politics, I knew that there was like a bunch of stuff. But anyways, so
Right.
I'm not in the know as much as the Americans are for that stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm going to DC tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We're in the process of we think we're gonna go down that road. Wait, hold on one second. We have the actual letter from. I'm gonna add this real quick into the show real quick. So for everybody that left real fast, I'm sorry. It says we've decided to turn over those who are directly involved and responsible in the events and times acted on their own decision making and lack of discipline, and I'll show that to you guys. This is the letter that was. It's in Spanish, obviously. It's Cartel del Golfo, Grupo, basically the Scorpion group, and
Scorpions.
Yeah, they're the Scorpion group of the Cartel of the Gulf. Right, Blue? Is that correct?
El Cartel del Golfo, Grupo Escorpiones, revolver inmediatamente los hechos del día viernes 3 de marzo pasado, en donde desafortunadamente.
Hey, well, speaking in English, bro. Nobody knows what you're saying.
I gotta read in Spanish. I can understand it myself.
You're turning me on, Blue. You're turning me on with that.
Like I don't know what you're saying. I can read it a little
They're
bit.
saying unfortunately that on the March 3rd that they're turning over the people that were, I guess, responsible for the 2 deaths and the 4 abductees.
That's insane. We'll have this translated and we'll be putting this up in an alternate video.
Yeah, they were from South Carolina. They were because I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they were I think they had North Carolina plates.
Yeah,
but
they rented the van over there.
Yeah.
But I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
Catch y'all later. We'll see you guys tomorrow. What's that?
Yeah, and we're gonna do a live tonight on the Delphi and Kagan Klein on the It's a Crime and Shame channel. And we'll talk about some other cases, but we're going to go over the Kagan Klein thing. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Big Blue,
thank you.
Daniel, Jaime, Adam, thank you guys, and everyone that's watching and chat.
Thank you guys for inviting us.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys.
Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.